Hey guys, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming. It is July 28th, and today we have a brand new patch hitting Outriders Worldslayer. TLDR, it has a lot of good things that are in this patch, but there are a couple of things that just absolutely positively kill me and my excitement. Stick around, we're going to go through the patch notes. I'm going to give you my feedback on a lot of these changes. Would love to hear your thoughts on the feedback. Are you playing this game still? Did the last two patches either make this game for you, or has your experience been kind of broken? Let's talk about it. Again, if you find this information helpful and you want to see me continue covering Outriders Worldslayer, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment below letting me know your interest. With that being said, let's jump on in and take a look at what this new patch brings. All right, guys, so just looking at the little header here, the things we're going to be looking at, the positives: item locking added, and quick marking has been improved, which is great. The quick marking is more useful, I think, for console players and PC players. We're going to be looking at changes to Apocalypse tier grinding. Crafting costs have been reduced, resource gains increased, expedition rewards improved, and here's the big problem for me. Balancing changes, 80% buffs. And we'll get into this, but what my issue is that while maybe 80% of the buffs have been positive, the 20% that are nerfs are so impactful that they borderline ruin the game for me. And you'll see why I'm so passionate about this, including the destruction of a set I was so excited about. I am so livid right now that they ruined one of the Devastator sets that I was making a whole build around, and they just killed it. Might as well have taken it out in the back and smothered it and drowned it like an unwanted puppy. Just that disgusting. We'll get to that when we talk about the Devastator. But before we get to the stuff that pisses me off, let's go ahead and start with the positives. Now, the developers do have a little preamble that said, hey, we analyzed all the data. We see that a lot of people were using the same kind of nodes for everything except the Trickster. So TLDR, we're going to nerf everything that you enjoy to try and force you to do more wide gameplay styles. And again, I wish they did not do this. With Outriders, the original Outriders, they did some of this, but they did a bigger mentality of buff, not nerf. And then when the head of balancing, quote unquote, when I interacted with him in beta, I was a little worried because he felt like he knew everything's gonna be better. But I had this suspicion that they're gonna bust out the nerf bats, and I said, if they're just gonna nerf everything people enjoy, my reaction is that people are going to be very unhappy and they're just gonna quit. And that is my concern here. So they're saying, hey, we're doing this for the game, trying to do a positive spin. But I'll tell you, when you see some of the things that get nerfed, you're probably not gonna be happy unless you played one of the builds that didn't relate to any of these and you played some off-meta build, then you might not care. All right, so that's the preamble here, right? Now, again, let's stick to some of the positives first. General balance changes, Apocalypse tier leveling. Thank goodness they improved this. This has been so bad. I actually haven't logged in 3 or 4 days because it's just so slow. And they said that after tier 20, it's going to reduce the amount of grind by 10%. This is probably still not enough. I've had to, for each Apocalypse tier, I've had to run 4 or 5 complete runs. It's not fun. It's slow, not enjoyable, too much grind. Now we're going to be talking about expeditions in a second because I said maybe we can do expeditions. And in the past, you just couldn't do any expeditions. They drop no loot, give you no EXP, which is sad because there's so much content in expeditions. I wanted to do expeditions, but the game wasn't balanced for it. All right, resources and anomaly extracts. Let's talk about this. They basically said, improve the amount of anomaly extracts gained from the end game troves by 500%. Now this is troves. I wonder if hopefully it doesn't mean just the side troves. Hopefully it means all the chests. We'll see. And they're saying a full run through. That means doing all the side troves, which a lot of people don't do, because if you haven't noticed, they take a lot longer, the side troves, than a normal map. And even though they, over the last patch, added a bunch of buffs to them, I still feel like I'm not getting nearly enough legendaries, and a lot of times the legendaries didn't have the third modifiers for some weird reason, while the end bosses still did. So this is supposed to double that. We'll see. Haven't checked it out yet because the patch just went live. Boss rushing the final Arbiter will net slightly more anomaly extracts than before, but this will not be the most efficient route for anomaly extract farming. Now here's the sad truth. I went back to farming the end boss, the same thing, without any like weird bugs, but I still would go to the final boss and farm him 3 times with the 3 resets and then reset it. Still seemed like I get the most legendaries, the most efficient, but it just feels so much worse than before the first mega patch. It just sucks. They either need to buff the treasure troves on the side even more, because again, those side maps take 2 to 3 times longer than the normal maps to get to the end boss. If it takes 2 to 3 times longer to clear them, you should get 2 to 3 times more loot, is my thought here. Crafting and upgrading. Starting at level 50, anomaly interact cost required to upgrade gear has been reduced by 5%. We'll see how this maps out. Any lowering in requirements for crafting is good. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but they're saying it's supposed to make a big impact, so we shall see. Apocalypse gear drop rates. So starting at Apocalypse 11, increases the chance for Apocalypse variant gear. So these are the ones that have the 3 mods. If you are new to the game or just returning, basically anything that doesn't have 3 mods is instant trash. It's useless because it's so much less powerful. So we only care about this. So any increases, this is good. I wish they would tell us in the notes here what it is. I'm sure we can check on the tier levels in game and it'll tell us, but hopefully this is significant because we just don't care about anything that doesn't have apocalyptic mods. All right, expeditions. Now this is something I've been hoping they're doing. Now what they're saying is expedition rewards have been increased to make expeditions feel more viable alongside the end game. I'm not going to call it Terriga Gratar because it's a retarded name and it's too hard to pronounce, so I'm just going to call it the new end game. Loot gain per X time investment should now feel quite similar between expeditions. Let's hope so. You should have a greater amount of epic and legendary items compared to fewer rares and expeditions, which is huge, and hopefully they'll have those 3rd mod ranks, because again, when I did test out pre-patch running expeditions, they just didn't drop anything. And basically never dropped the 3rd mods and the EXP. You didn't even notice your EXP go up. And it says anomaly extra farming should feel much more viable in expeditions. Now they're not talking about EXP here. So let me know in your comments below after your test. Are you feeling like EXP is better on the expeditions than before this patch? Because they're saying rewards. They need to like triple or quadruple the EXP rewards so you can actually see your EXP bar move when you fight these. So we'll see. Now let's talk about the class changes. And I've mainly been playing Devastator and Technomancer. Haven't played the other 2 classes yet. Just haven't really been wanting to play as much as I did the original, if I'm being quite honest. The nerfs have really kind of made me a little more jaded than I want to be, and I've always been a big supporter of this game. I'm not going to be looking. I'll have a link to the notes if you want to kind of go in and read about the Trickster and Pyromancer changes. There seem to be some good buffs, but I just haven't been playing it enough to really know what I'm talking about. But I will talk about the Devastator and Technomancer right now. So they added a half-second cooldown to Earth and Shell. So this is interesting, but greatly increases shield generation values. So this is a nerf, no matter how you want to say. Before, any kind of anomaly power skill usage was just converting to shield generation, and because there's so much ability spam for Earth and for Devastators, AP Devastators, this was huge. And now because of that cooldown, it's gonna lower it dramatically. So, no matter what they want to say, how they want to spin it, it's just a big nerf. Necessary? Probably. I mean, you're taking the main survivability element of the Trickster and adding it to the tankiest class. I get it. Nerfs just don't feel good. Multi-strike. Stored damage is now capped at 700% of anomaly power. So I think there were exploits that allow you to basically have this because of bugs that they can't fix easily. I'm reading between the lines. Spike. I know there was a bug that would let you do this, a leap where you would one-shot any boss, and I think it was abusing these elements. So this is where you're seeing the 700% of anomaly power cap. If you're not exploiting the game, I don't think you're going to ever hit this. But this is how I'm interpreting this. Same with terms of engagement. So bugs, bugs, bugs. And again, just to be very honest with you guys, this team is so thin. This game has been so underfunded because it doesn't have, it's not a live, live action game or whatnot. It's not getting any extra revenue. So I'm guessing there's just a handful of people working on this. So making any big coding changes is out the window. So they're having to kind of, unfortunately, do their very best to see how they can fix up these bugs and these exploits through untraditional means. So they're going to be doing these caps, these roundabout ways to make sure that these exploits can be fixed. But again, if you're not cheating, if you're not using exploits, this will not be a big deal for you. Finishing touch, increased ammo to weapon damage coefficient provided this node. Okay, that's fine. Now, impact point, increased damage scaling from 30 to 50% of anomaly power. So this is interesting. So if you're using impact point, this is a nice buff. I like obliteration changes if you're going for a resistance piercing kind of setup, especially if you use the tier 3 mod that converts resistance piercing into anomaly power. This is going to be nice of obliteration. Upheaval, stored damage being increased from 10 to 15%. This is big and helpful. This is, again, I'm guessing a reaction to the fact that they know that people aren't going to be able to abuse multi-strike. So they're okay upping this. So this is nice. And again, it even says, as we have applied a cap to multi-strike and fixed the bug, will now make upheaval only store to activated player's own damage. So I believe in multiplayer, you could store other people's damage, which, again, one of the exploits, I don't want to go into it because, again, I don't want to promote exploits on this channel. So that's a big thing. Overwhelming force, increased armor to damage conversion for 40 to 60%. This is going to be a big deal because it seems like they want you to lean into armor conversion to damage stacking on a couple new sets, including the change that infuriates me beyond no belief, but we'll get to that. Now here's a great change, Paladin / Champion. You no longer need to spam protection keywords. So there were certain builds where you literally had to have one of the 2 protection abilities just to get this huge anomaly power buff. And so even though you didn't want to use those protection abilities, you were forced to take them because you couldn't afford to miss those buffs. So this is great. Now any skill activations will do this. This I'm very happy for. These are the kind of changes they need to be making. Mighty Tank, this is the mid-tier capstone. Nobody uses the mid-tier. Again, pretty much 90% of players use anomaly power to bottom pathway. And then some people that wanted to get cute can do a firepower build on top. Again, we still have an issue that the Devastator does not have a skill that buffs, kind of converts your weapon damage to be more effective, similar to how all the other classes have. But this allows you to increase the percentage cap from 40 to 50% for both anomaly power and firepower. So if you were to go down this middle path, you can get a better buff. Is it enough? Probably not. Despair. Oh man, people are going to be pissed. Despair damage multiplier. And notice it says from 100% to 200% to 30%. Now, on the actual thing, it says increase it by 200%. Basically, roundabout saying the same way. It would double your anomaly damage. That's why they're saying 100% now here. So this is a wording thing, but so you don't need to comment that, hey, it went from 200 to 100 to 30%. This is basically going from what it was to 30%. It's a 70% nerf. This will now make it that arguably it may not be even necessary anymore. Double leaps may still work. We'll see. But because, again, it did kind of feel bad. I have a build, my Impaler build, that didn't use this, and people asked me why I didn't. This is going to be nice because it's going to make my Impaler build be closer to some of the other builds when it comes to that utilize the Despair mod on the leap, the gravity leap. So this, I think, overall is good. Even though people that rely on it are going to be pretty pissed off, and probably rightfully so, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Let's just get to the things that really piss me off. So I'm very happy about Bannerlord Legendary set. Even though I had an Impale build that you would think would go with Bannerlord Legendary set, I ended up using the 3-piece bonus from the Seismic Commander because of that 50% increased damage against bleeding enemies, which didn't feel quite right. But now they added an extra 35% anomaly power bonus to the Bannerlord Legendary set, which is good. I said this a million times before. If you're going to have a legendary set, you need to be giving not just like cooldowns for an ability or some kind of survival element. They need a DPS boost for it to be effective. This gives you a 35% anomaly power bonus. So this should make it much, much better. I'm happy because my Impaler build can easily swap out from either having a 3-set bonus for Bannerlords or Seismic Commander. So now it may actually potentially be better to swap it around or give you more options as well. So this is good. These are the kind of changes they should make. Now, Concussion Legendary set. Oh man, I almost just like walked away when I read this. So I love the idea of Concussion Legendary set. Back in Outriders, I had my Hulk Smash build, which was a melee build. And for those of you who don't know, melee strikes, they scale. They are basically an anomaly power ability. So they scale off anomaly power and any modifiers that modify melee damage. Okay? So the idea is, for what I called my Hulk Smash build, you would just want to get as much anomaly power and as many modifiers to melee damage. And this is exactly what Concussion Legendary set needed, or what filled that role. It was a little underpowered, and I was hoping they were going to buff this so it became competitive based off the fact that you still have to smash things. But instead, they killed the shit out of this build. They're making it into a bonus firepower. WTF? Why? 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 They already had the Death Proof set that did this. And I hated it because it was firepower. And I said, whatever, that's a dead set. At least they gave us the Concussion Legendary set. Now instead they have this. And it's going to scale with, use bonus firepower. But you're still not going to get anomaly power. Like, the set is still based on punching. But you're not going to buff your punching anymore. So the only way I can see this working is if you use mods to convert your firepower back to anomaly power at an inefficient rate. It's probably going to suck. Now they're saying, oh, it's going to stack better with pack trees. And I did have that issue. I couldn't use any capstones. I had to Mickey Mouse it, but I was making it work with anomaly power. But now this sucks. This absolutely sucks. On top of the fact that you gotta refarm items, I'm just not happy. Yeah. Again, like I said, this set was initially designed as an anomaly power bruiser. Yes, that's what we wanted. We wanted a build that could melee punch the shit out of things. And you gave it to us, sort of. But they say, but progression layers of certain PAX nodes were not cooperating with these set premises. So change the PAX nodes, you freaking idiots. Can you tell I'm angry? I'm very angry about this. Holy shit. So, Instead, we've shifted the set to support firepower builds and same into Deathproof. Yeah, so Deathproof set was never used. So now this is going to be never used. Good job, developers. So to say, for both these sets, damage is generally primarily from armor stacking and the set bonus effects. No. So you're saying go down the middle row. No. For Concussion and Legendary set, you would get all your power stacking from AP stacking. You even have a gosh darn node that increases melee damage by 100% in the bottom node. What are you doing? This change for Concussion set should also unlock better synergy with the PAX nodes to the overwhelming force path. I'll give it a shot. I'll see if I can do something with it. I don't know. But I just think this is going to be shit. It's trying to build some weird synergy, a close range gun build with punching. No. If you're going to punch, you just want to punch. You're not going to be swapping between gunning and punching. All right. I'm getting off my soapbox because I'm just so freaking angry at this. Status leg set. Great. Yeah. Fixing this. How they overlooked for so long a leg piece having bonus firepower instead of max health. We've all known that gloves and legs are what have the max health, which, again, I'm not even going to get started on that because I think it's stupid too. But whatever. Okay. Now my main class, Technomancer. Holy shit, do I even want to talk about this right now? So, of course, they're going to nerf all the good stuff. Lethal Devices added a 0.2 second cooldown to the Snow secondary. This is freaking huge. This is the ability to spread, proc the poison effect on things, which is important because it allows you, with later nodes, spread debuffs. And you may not think a 0.2 second cooldown is a big deal, but when you have like 2 turrets all shooting two things at a time at super high speeds, this is a huge nerf that is going to make it way less fun. Way less fun to play. Just a big nerf. I get it. I know everybody picked this. Not our damn fault. Design the other nodes better. Don't nerf the one good PAX tree node that you developed. 20 increased echo damage by 25 to 35%. Okay. The sniper. I'm working on a sniper build. Snipers are so bad. The developers even admitted during beta and alpha that they can't really change the mechanics of this game. Again, lack of funding, reading between the lines. So snipers kind of suck, but they're going to do stuff to make it better. Echo damage, this should be more than 25 or 30. This should need to be like 100% for it to really even compete with these other builds. Let's be honest. So, yeah, we'll see here. The healing path, nobody cares about the healing path. Nobody cares. This game's all about DPS throughput. Let's be honest. Otherwise, pyromancers wouldn't be king. They don't care about freaking healing. They care about bursting everything. I'm not even going to talk about it. You can read about it if you want. Burrowing charge, reduced cooldown from 5 to 3 seconds. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that when you crit in, when you had this node that you had to pick up to go way out of the way for it, you crit something and you crit it again. So if you double crit, you do a nice, I think, 200% anomaly power burst. Which felt always weird because, again, it's like almost like for a gunner build, but it's an anomaly power build. And at a 5 second cooldown, it's now down to 3. Maybe that's a little better. I'll take it. Let's talk about Blightfire. Which, it says shit was broken. We fixed it. Blightfire was useless. Let's see what it says. Cause Technomancer's Flame Leopard Blightfire set bonus to consume and trigger off a toxic that had been applied by other players, turn to deny those players their application of toxic. Okay, so this was bad for multiplayer. Has it made it any better for DPS? Not reading any of that. So, okay, it's not broken, but it's not any good either. Well, maybe now it will be, since they nerfed Lethal Devices. Who knows? Downpour Legendary set. I've been working on building this again, which again was way more difficult because of the drop rate sucked. I'm glad the cluster scaling improved. I'm happy. I like that a lot. So yeah, and then there's a bunch of changes to Pyro. Again, check it out. couple things that jumped out at me. They nerfed some things like Master Exploder. People are going to be pissed about that. I did notice that Reforged Legendary set got buffed. So if you like Thermal Bomb and Feed the Flame gameplay, which was not meta, again, if you're going away from Akari set, good for you. You know, Akari's been meta forever. Probably still is. Again, I haven't played it in the expansion, but I like the increased thermal damage from 100 to 200. It doubled the damage of both of these. Good for you guys. I hope people play it. And then the Trickster, again, they said it was pretty balanced. You guys can check it out. I have not played. I haven't even logged into my Trickster in this expansion, so I don't want to talk about it. I don't feel like I'm in the right, position to have a good opinion on it. And then let's talk about another. All right, let's talk about one more change, Mage's Rage. This is going to be Leeroy's Rage. I know it was a little overpowered, I guess. So now, because they're fixing it, this bug, quote unquote, it's just gonna bring it down to earth, which is kind of unfortunate. It's sad that it was bugged, because now it's just gonna feel bad, because it's gonna be so much weaker. And it is a mod that's harder to proc because you have to crit numerous times, and especially on consoles, it's a little harder to crit on consoles. So I feel bad because there's so many other mods that they did improve that were based on, that are just not difficult to proc. If you just have to hit something, or it's just passive. That was the whole thing that they had when we talked about Fortress being too powerful back in the day, where it was just a passive buff, and they wanted to be more active. Well, this is the ultimate active, forcing you to crit to get this buff. Loved how it felt. Now it's just gonna be weaker. So, Dark Sacrifice, thank goodness they buffed this a little bit. Went from 25 to 35% damage. And then the health drain from 50 to 24%. It's still so much weaker than it used to be. And I believe this is only firepower, not all damage. So it's still only going to be good for firepower build. Now, do note, Killing Spree is all damage. They buffed the duration and buffed the damage. The only downside, it's still on kill, so sucks against bosses. And in multiplayer, it's not as good. I'm glad they buffed Fortress. I thought this was still one of the top 3 mods in the game. It may now be the best mod in the game again because of all these nerfs. What else stands out? Shock and Awe range increases. Interesting. I know some people abused this and it was pretty good. I never liked it. The range I thought was too small. 10 meters is good. Glad Anomaly. So Anomaly power class nodes are going to be even more important. So if you're going to be doing anything worth anything, you're going down the bottom tree again. Which again, don't get me started again with them nerfing the Devastator, smash punch build, because this would have been wonderful with it to increase more anomaly power, but not anymore. And then the weapon damage class nodes, again, they're gonna pull people to the top and bottom nodes even more. Gonna make the middle pathways, like for the Devastator middle pathway, pretty much useless. And unfortunately, because again that they're making that particular concussion set, they want you to go middle row and increase armor. That's going to be pretty weak because you're going to be missing out on the weapon damage that you want now, or the anomaly power that you want in the past. So I don't know what they're thinking. So let's go to the very top. So I know I'm taking out context. Major rebalancing, 80% buffs. Bullshit. Quantitatively, yes, 80% of these changes are probably buffs, but the 20% of the nerfs impact probably 80% of player power. This is a net negative. I'm very unhappy with this patch. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see if anybody sticks around to play. I love this game, but I just absolutely hate that the changes that they've made since the release. The game was, I felt, in a better place in beta and alpha. I had a ton of fun, put over 200 hours into it, and now I'm just not having fun. All right, guys. End of a happy note. Hope you guys found this helpful. Probably some of you will not like the fact that I'm not happy with these changes, but I don't think people should be. And I hope you guys speak out and comment on the forums if you agree with me. Let me know below in my comments. Do you agree with me? Or do you think I'm full of shit? Do you think I'm overreacting on these changes? Or do you think this is as bad as I think it is? And of course, like and subscribe for more looter shooter and RPG content. As always, thank you for the support, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.